Okay, so sorry, sound was on mute. Now I have just unmuted it. So in the last class, we have started our discussion on Keynesian theory of money, and I told you about few things, right? Just giving you the recap. In the last class, I told you, if suppose that I have 100 rupees, if I have 100 rupees, and what options do I have? If I will go for deposit, and deposit is giving me 4% interest or 8% interest. At the same time, investment in capital market. Investment in capital market can give me 12% interest, right? Whereas if I will have that money in cash, it will be remain 100 rupees only, no increase in the value, right? So I am speculating. My speculation is what with respect to this 100 rupees. This 100 rupees is my savings, right? It can be converted into 104. It can be converted into 108. It can be converted into 112. So the value can be rise up to value can be rise up to 112, right? From 100. So if it will be remain 100, suppose that I will keep this money in the cash, so it will be remain savings, right? It will be remain only savings. But if I will go for investments, so then its value can rise up to 112, right? So I am speculating. I am speculating, or in other words, I am calculating opportunity cost, where I have to go for this money, right? Where I have to go for this money. Now, this opportunity cost, whether I'm going to put my money here, or I'm going to put my money here, or I'm going to put money remain in the cash, that is depend upon the situation. That is depend upon the situation. For example, under business cycle, we know that there is a boom and recession. So if economy is on booming means growth, each and everything is rising. Then even if I will put my money here, there is a risk. But as economy is booming, then I can get at least means I can get this amount of money, right? So rather than putting here or here, I will go for this one, right? If economy is not booming, right? Normal circumstances, normal circumstances, then in that case I will feel this is risky, better to go for this one. Banks are offering higher interest rate on FD, right? So I'll go for it, right? If bank is offering only this percent 4%, then I'll think about whether I will go for this 12 or I'll go for this 104. So I choose the middle path. I went for some kind of the investment which have both features, like investment risk as well, risk element, as well as kind of the some safety element. For example, some investments, right? So I will take my decision based on the situation. So if the situation is like a recessionary situation, then I will prefer either go for fixed deposit, or prefer I will go for cash only rather than investing my money anywhere, right? Why? Because in the recessionary time, each and everyone have low income, employment, consumption. So in case if I'm not holding the cash, then maybe I'm not able to fulfill my very necessary requirements. So I will prefer to have the cash rather than putting in the form of investments, right? So that depends upon the situation. So this is why Keynes call it speculative demand of money. Speculative demand of money, he called the speculative demand of money, right? And this is why he rejected the classical notions. What classicals believe? That classicals believe that savings are equal to investments. Savings are equal to investments. That is why they always have this thing. But with the speculative, the theory of a speculative demand of money, he rejected this thing, number one. Then with the speculative demand of money, he has given liquidity preference theory. He has given liquidity preference theory, right? How his liquidity preference theory works, I'll explain you through this diagram. So as you seen here, interest rates matters. Why interest rate matter? Suppose that if one bank is offering me 4%, whereas other bank is offering 8%, so I will go for it, right? Another thing before going for this liquidity preference theory is interest rates. Though I have already explained it, just giving you the kind of revision. Interest rates of short term and long term. Can anybody tell me what I have explained the last class regarding short term interest rate and long term interest rate? Out of this one is going to have a higher interest rate and other is going to have a low interest rate. Interest rate offered by banks. So banks are offering the interest rate on the deposits. So there is a short term and long term. Can anybody tell me where you are going to get higher interest rate or where you are going to get low interest rates? Yes. Long term interest, very good. Long term interest rate is going to high. Why long term interest rate is going to high? Because people always prefer liquidity with themselves. They always prefer to have a liquidity with themselves because there is an uncertainty, right? So in case of uncertainty, I should get my money back immediately. So people want the high degree of liquidity with themselves. High degree of liquidity means they can convert that thing into the money or in the cash as soon as possible. That is high degree of liquidity. So they always prefer the liquidity. What it means that? It means that if I am saying that I prefer the liquidity, it means that first of all, I will put my money in the cash. But I also know that cash will be remain same. Cash will be remain same even after 10 years. The same amount will be there. So if I want to go for investment, I'll think where I should invest. So the first thing will come in my mind is if I'm going to put my money at some place from where I cannot withdraw it. So that means I have to sacrifice the liquidity. And if I'll sacrifice the liquidity, then if there will be any eventuality, right, like recession, COVID, something like that, then it is going to be very difficult for me, a difficult time I have to face. So I'm not ready to sacrifice liquidity for the long term, right? So this is why if you want to encourage people to save their money in the form of investment for a long time, you have to lure them. Lure means what? You have to attract them with the higher interest rate, right? So that is why to attract those people, the higher interest rates are going to be offered when the investment is of long term, right? Same thing, same thing is like if you feel that ki long term I'm not interested, so definitely I will try to put my money in the short term savings. So now banks know that ki more and more people are attracted towards what? More and more people are attracted towards short term. So that is why banks will offer low interest rate, right? So interest rate and liquidity preference, right? Interest rate, if interest rates are high, people will move towards what? People will move towards putting their money in the form of investment. If interest rates are low, then people will try to hold the money with themselves, right? So this is on deposit. This is on deposit, right? This is the case on deposit. But if we will go for borrowings, if we will go for borrowings, then what will happen? See, if the interest rates and speculative money, right? I am just considering for a movement, income is constant. Income is constant, right? So when banks are offering higher interest rate, when banks are offering higher interest rate, I do not want to hold liquidity, right? And I am talking about here short term, right? I will come to the borrowing case, but first I just have this clarity in your mind with respect to short term and speculative money. So interest rates are offered in the short term, right? And we are talking about the speculative money, right? Now, income is constant means income is fixed, right? So banks are offering higher interest rates. Banks are offering higher interest rate, then I will put my money where? In the investments. I will put my money in the investments. But if the interest rates are going to decrease, if interest rates are going to decrease, then I will prefer to hold that money in the form of cash rather than putting that money in the investments. So the curve will be like this. That is liquidity, okay? Liquidity, and I'm speculating, right? And speculation give me the liquidity preference. Speculating about what? I'm speculating about whether should I hold the liquidity or I should invest. So as interest rates are high, then my liquidity preference with respect to the speculative money with respect to what? It is kind of holding of a cash, right? Holding of a cash. So I'll not prefer to hold in the form of cash if interest rates are high. So that is why higher the interest rate, low the speculation. Regarding money, so at higher interest rate, you can see that at this point of interest rate, speculative money is like this. But once the interest rate got high, when the interest rate got high, then in that case, what is happening? Sorry, interest rate getting low, then speculative money increases, right? So as interest rates are going to increase, right? Interest rates are going to increase, liquidity preference is going to decrease, right? Liquidity is going to decrease. Why? People will put their money in the form of investments and savings, right? Whereas if people will go for what? If the interest rates are going to decrease, then they will prefer to have the money in the form of cash, right? But generally what happened? Generally what happened, if you are going to decrease See, is it clear or not? First of all, is this clear or not? Okay. Now let's move to the other part of the same thing. This time I'm taking here quantity of money, right? And here I am taking interest rate, right? I am taking interest rate or I am taking quantity of money here. Now, just we have to see what will happen, and we are taking the case of borrowings. So, interest rate of borrowing is high. So, if the interest rate of borrowing is high, people will do what? People will not take money on the interest, right? They will not take the money on the interest. Fine. If interest rates are going to decrease, then in that case, what they will do, if interest rates are going to decrease, only then they are going to take the loan. Fine. So what will happen? What Keynes said that? Keynes says that, okay, if you will decrease the interest rate, people will start borrowing the money, right? Then in that case, quantity of money is, interest rates is high, interest rate is high. Suppose that this is the interest rate, right? So this is the interest rate. Oh, sorry. This is the interest rate, and say it is XA, or simply you can say that 12%, right? So 12% is the interest rate. Fine, interest rate is 12%. So interest rate is 12%. People will not take money on the loan, right? People are not going to take this money on the loan because interest rates are very high. And if the interest rates are very high, I have to pay more. So I am not going to take any money on this interest. Whether I am consumer or I am capitalist, or in other words, industrialist, right? So if interest rates are high, quantity of money in economy, right? Quantity of money in the economy we have to check. And now we want to check demand of money. So first of all, quantity of money we will see in terms of demand of the money, right? What is the demand of the money in the economy? So we have put demand of money and interest rates are high. So if the interest rates are high, demand of money is going to be what? Demand of money is going to be very low. Demand of money is going to be very low. If we will decrease the interest rate, demand of the money is going to increase, right? So when I wrote here quantity of money, what I mean to say is the demand of money, right? The demand of money, because we are focusing on demand theory, right? Demand theory of money. Okay, so interest rates are high, so demand of the money was low. So this was the point we have got on the curve. Second, when we have decrease the interest rate from 12 to 10%, demand of money is going to increase. We further decrease the interest rate every time we can see that there is a decrease in what? There is a decrease in the interest rate, and that decrease in the interest rate is going to increase the supply of money in the, sorry, demand of the money in the economy. Why demand of money is going to increase in the economy? Because interest rates are getting low and people know that loan are getting cheaper and cheaper. We can take the money even at the low interest rate, right? So this is why what will happen, we will get this kind of the curve like this. So he called this liquidity preference, right? But he warned that if interest rates are going to be very low, if interest rates are going to be low, like 3% interest, right? 3% interest rate means interest rate further decrease, and with this decrease we can borrow more money, we can borrow more money. But the problem is, if you are going to continuously decrease the interest rate, at a point of time people will not prefer to borrow. Why people will not prefer to borrow? First of all, if interest rates are very low, okay, if interest rates are very low and I am planning to borrow, right, I am planning to borrow, and interest rates are low, 3%, right? So interest rate are like 3%. Classic example, 2007 US financial crisis. So at that point of time, US Federal Reserve have put down the interest rate almost 1%. Right. US Federal Reserve have put down the interest rate on borrowings. Are you able to see the screen? Okay, just give me a moment. I'll talk to the team what happened, because even I am not able to see the screen. Now I'm back because I'm able to see myself with the screen. I hope you are also able to see the screen. Okay, Jay. Okay, Yogesh. Okay, fine. So, what will happen if you are continuously going to decrease the interest rate, right? Why you want to decrease the interest rate? You feel that if I will decrease the interest rate, people will more people will borrow, more people will borrow. So liquidity or better demand of liquidity is going to increase, and interest rates are low, right? And this is going to increase the supply of money in the economy. So I have decreased the interest rate. Why I have decreased the interest rate? So that more and more people are going to borrow. And when I am going to borrow the money, then the money supply in the economy is going to increase, right? So to increase the money supply in the economy, I have targeted to decrease the interest rate. But we have to understand the psyche of a consumer. Consumer is feeling that ki, okay, we have to do what? We have to borrow the money. Fine. If I will borrow the money, right, then what will happen? My effective income in the means what I am receiving right now and what I am receiving after the loan. So before the loan, I have X1, but after the loan, X1 plus L1. So this effective increase supply of the money in the economy will cause inflation, right? And because of this high inflation, whatever the money you are borrowing today at the 4%, right? Or even 1%, you know that later on, because inflation will rise, and this rise of the inflation will cause later on higher in the interest rate. And today I am borrowing maybe at 1%, but when I have to return this money, I have to pay 5%. Today I am borrowing at 1%, but after borrowing, the supply of money is increased and inflation is going to increase. I have to pay 5%, 6%, or even 7%. In that case, I have to pay more and more money. Why? Because I am borrowing at 1%, but maybe I have to return at 6%, 7%. So, despite an offer of very low interest rate, I am not going to take this money. Even low interest rate is being offered. So, what happened if interest rates are going to be very low? Then even very low interest rate, people will not borrow, and then what will happen? This is going to be like this. Demand of money is not going to change. It is going to be remain same, and this is why Keynes called it as a liquidity trap. He called it as a liquidity trap, right? So doesn't matter how much interest rates you are going to decrease, right? Liquidity is going to be remain same in the economy, right? It is not going to change. That is why he called it as a liquidity trap. Is it clear? Liquidity trap, liquidity preference, and liquidity trap. Okay, so next thing is, liquidity preference and liquidity trap. Now we have to shift towards ISLM curve or this analysis, right? So ISLM analysis was given by Hicks and Hansen. Hicks and Hansen, they have given this ISLM analysis, right? ISLM analysis. So first of all, you should know what is IS and what is LM. What is IS here? Yogesh, what I have to repeat, please let me know. See, liquidity trap is what? Liquidity trap is I am thinking to purchase a home, right? I'm giving my example. So I'm thinking to purchase home right now, and my bank is offering me 6.7% interest, right? They are offering me 6.7% interest. So I was thinking ki if I will take this loan, suppose that 40 lakh, right? At 6.75% interest, just lump sum, if I will borrow this money for 20 years, 40 lakh rupees, then I have to pay around something 85 lakh, right? 85 lakh with interest. If bank is going to offer me 3% interest, right, then in 20 years I have to return how much? I have to return something about 55 lakhs. Okay. So if bank is going to offer me a 3%, if bank is going to offer me a 3%, bank is continuously decreasing the interest rate from 6.75, they went to 6, then they went to 5.5, then they went to 4, then they went to 3.5, and now they are offering me 3%. So I saw that, okay, wow, it's a good offer to buy the loan. But then I thought that because continuously liquidity is increasing in the market, right? Continuously liquidity is increasing in the market because people like me, everyone is going to go for this loan. Everyone is going for this loan. And if everyone is going for this loan, then overall supply of money is going to be very high in the economy overall, because like me, many people are thinking, and if everyone is going to take this money at low interest rate 40 lakh, at when it was 6.75%, only 10 people are interested, but when it will went to how much? 3%, maybe 100 people are going to interested to take this loan. So here the liquidity was supposed to rise by 4 crores. 4 crore will be added in the market if the interest rates are how much? 6.75%. But if the interest rates are going to be 3%, then this is going to increase in the liquidity of 40 crores. 40 crores will be lent by the bank to the people. So at 6.75%, 4 crores. But if the interest rate is 3%, then 100 of the people are going to borrow, and liquidity is going to shoot up. And if the liquidity is going to shoot up, in order to contain that, immediately interest rate again going to be up 6.75, right? So if bank is offering me fixed interest rate, right, 3% for 20 years. I will take it because if the interest rates, whatever the market interest rate will be at that point of time, it is not going to impact me. So I will immediately take this loan. Doesn't matter what will happen. But banks are very clever. They are not going to offer you this fixed interest rate, especially when Keynes has given this theory. Right? When Keynes has given this theory, fixed interest rates are not, they are market dependent, market based. So they are offering me market based interest rate. So 3% interest rate I am going to borrow, and I am thinking I have to pay only 55 lakh. But because lot of people are going to borrow, so liquidity which was supposed to be 4 crore, it is going to be 40 crore in the market. So inflation is going to increase in very high rate, and this inflation will what should be decrease. And to decrease this inflation, what central bank will do? Central bank will push the money supply low, and when the money supply is getting low, interest rate will be starts increasing. So I have planned that I will borrow 40 lakhs and I have to pay 55 lakh. But at the end I am going to pay how much? I am going to pay 85 lakh because interest rates are going to increase over the time. So I am not going to be in trap. I'm not going to be in the trap. Never, never I will go in the trap. I'll wait when the interest rates are going to be normalized. 3% is too much low interest rate, and it is a kind of trap. Why we will call it a trap? Right? When we call this a trap, we call this a trap because sometimes things are going to be very fancy and they are lucrative, but actually there is a plan to trap you inside. So liquidity trap will be there, right? So people are not going to borrow, right? And if people are not going to borrow, then central bank is also going to be upset because central bank or other banks, central bank is decreasing the interest rate. Banks are also decreasing the interest rate. But at a point of time, after decreasing the interest rate, nobody is going to take this loan. Why? People know that if you will go below particular interest rate, then it is going to be difficult for us. So this is why liquidity trap is being there. So what happened in 2007 when US Federal Reserve have almost put down the interest rate 1%. Despite that 1% interest rate, borrowings by the people are not happening. So that was an example of liquidity trap. Now it is clear. Jay, I have explained this MCLR in detail. Lectures are available in our channel. You can go there and watch that lecture. Means it's not possible to explain in a very short span of time. It needs a lot of time. MCLR, right? So it needs some time. You can go and check there. So is this interest rate called MCLR? No. Okay. So liquidity trap is clear. What is liquidity trap? Okay. So what Keynes is saying? Keynes is saying, you see, don't think you are the only smart person. Consumers are also very smart, right? Don't think they are fool. They are smart enough to understand what is good for them right now, what is good for them in the long term, what is bad for them from right now, and what is bad for them in the long term. So you maybe you are not intended to create a trap for them, but they understand it is a trap. So that is why we will call it as a liquidity trap, right? So this is the crux of Keynesian theory. Fine. So is it clear? Okay, now. So, my fundamental question was related to what? Related to this ISLM analysis. And I just asked you what is IS here and what is LM. Can anybody tell me what is IS and what is LM? Anyone? Liquidity, preference, and money supply. LM is liquidity, preference, and income. Okay. IS is saving, saving, investment, and income. Saving, investment, and income. Okay. So this is about what? When we say ISLM analysis, so analysis of income, right? Liquidity, okay. Liquidity, or you can say liquidity preference, fine. Liquidity preference plus saving, investment. Okay. But the most important thing I have not written, this income, liquidity preference, saving, investments, all these we are going to understand with respect to interest rate. So, what ISLM analysis tell us? ISLM analysis tell us means Hicks and Henson, what they did, they took example or they took inspiration from Keynesian theory. They took the inspiration. Actually, it was John Hicks first, right? So John Hicks has given this analysis, LM analysis. LM analysis he has given, Hicks analysis, and Hicks analysis was purely based on what? His analysis was purely based on J.M. Keynes theory of what? J.M. Keynes theory of liquidity preference. Then in his model, Hansen has added this saving and investment and its impact on interest rate. So what Hicks did, Hicks took the liquidity preference and he understand the liquidity preference with income and interest rate. So how liquidity, interest rates, and income, they are interrelated to each other. This model was developed by Hicks. And in his model, what Hansen did, Hansen said that okay, I'm also analyzing one thing here. I'm also analyzing, Hansen said that I'm also analyzing income and interest rates, right? Income and interest rate, but my focus is on saving and investments. My focus is on saving and investment, whereas Hicks focus was on income and interest rate, but he is focusing on what? He is focusing on liquidity, or in other words, demand of money. So these two things were collaborated, both have started working together, and with their working they has given ISLM analysis, right? ISLM analysis they have given. So now if we will put interest rate on y-axis and income on x-axis, right? So first we have to discuss about investment and saving, right? Considering income is y1. So my income is y1. So my income is y1. So some part is I'm going to consume and some part I am going to save, right? So that is S1, right? My saving is S1 and my consumption is C, okay? Or C1. My consumption is C1, my income is Y1 and saving is S1, right? So that is small income. I have low income right now. My income is low, so I am taking Y1 here. So Y1 is here, and if Y1 is here, that means I have low income. So if I have low income, that means lot of income I have to use for what? I have to use for consumption. Lot of income I have to use for consumption, whereas less amount of income I am going to use for saving, right? So especially when the interest rates are low, so most part of the income I am going to consume, right? Most of the part of income I am going to consume and less amount of income I am going to save, right? And interest rates are low. So more and more money of mine is going to be in the form of cash savings because interest rates are low. But if interest rates are going to increase, so my savings are also supposed to increase. Right. So this movement, what I'm trying to show is this is income and this is savings. I am trying to show that what my income is low, right? That's why my savings was earlier low, but now my savings are increasing because interest rates are increasing. Fine. Now my income is increased, Y2 consumption is C2 and S2. So my question is the new curve is going to be A side or B side? Income is increased. So the new curve of Y2 S2 be at A or at B side? Very good. B side. Why? Because income is increased. So income is increased. So it is going to be B side. Same thing will be there. Income is at Y2 level. Initially savings will be low, but gradually savings are going to what? Savings are going to increase. Right? Savings are going to increase. So this is Y2 and S2. Right? So every time you will find this curve if you will increase what? If you will increase income and savings. So if income increases, what happened? Our savings increases. Every time our savings is going to increase and we will find this curve. But remember that. What you have to remember one thing. If interest rates are high, then our savings are increasing. But if interest rates starts decreasing, then our savings means we are not going to prefer to put money in the form of savings and investments means if interest rates are high, we are converting our savings in investments by putting our money in the market. But if interest rates are going to decrease, then what will happen? Our savings is not going to convert in the investment. So you will find that what? You will find that if I'll talk in terms of what? If I will talk in terms of interest rates, if I will talk in terms of interest rates and savings, interest rates and savings, then what will happen each and every time? You can see that interest rates are what? Interest rates are decreasing, and similarly, with the decrease in the interest rate, our every time our savings are going to be less available in terms of investment. I'm repeating. See, income is increasing. My income is increasing. Okay, income is increasing. So this income is increasing. Fine. Interest rates are high. Interest rates are high. So I was putting a lot of my income in terms of savings. But as my income is increasing, but at the same time interest rates are decreasing, then rather than putting my money in terms of what savings to investment, I will prefer to have money with myself, right? So this is known as what? Interest saving relationship with respect to income. So just removing these things so that it will be clearly understandable for you. So interest rates, right, and income. So interest rates and income, and I have to check the ability of people to convert their investment, sorry, their savings into investment. What I have to check? I have to check what will happen on savings conversion into the investment if income will increase but interest rates will decrease, right? Interest rates will decrease. So if interest rate will be decreased, it is going to be what? It is going to downslope. In reverse, what we can say that even if income is decreasing, income is low, right, but interest rates are high, then we can more go for what? When we can go for more and more saving behavior of the people. Classical case of India 1960s to 1990s. So government was controlling all means of production through PSUs. In India, only PSUs are doing the production. For that, government need more money, right, to run those PSUs. So what government was doing? Government has decreased the supply of money and interest rates offered by banks on savings are very high. Banks are offering very high interest rates on savings, at the same time very high interest rates on borrowing. So people, rather than spending the money, I want to purchase the home, I want to take the loan, but interest rates are very high, 12%, 14%, 18% interest rates on home loans. So I'm not going to purchase the home by taking the loan. At the same time, banks are also offering the high interest rates on savings. So what I will do, I will put my money in the form of what? In the form of savings. So that savings will go to the government. Government can spend their money. So despite having low income, what is the means special case of India? Despite having low income country, despite being a low income country, India was having very high significant portion of savings of their income. Generally, it is considered 65 is to 35 is the best. Income of consumption should be like 65, 35 for the savings. But India, despite having low income, and if you have low income, lot of money should be spent on what? Consumption rather than savings, right? But people will put more and more money in savings and rather than income. So if a country like India, that is expected low income country, so it should be like 80-20. 80-20 during this phase. This should be okay. But at that time during this phase, it was almost 68-32. 68-32. Right. So IS part I have cleared. Next class I will clear this LM part also. Okay.